Practice day for the Montreal Canadiens. They're back at it with a preseason game tomorrow night, coming off of a win versus the Toronto Maple Leafs in Toronto on Saturday, the Montreal Canadiens. Some good performances by several players, which we're going to talk about. Players sent down to Laval, other players put on waivers. They all clear waivers. We'll discuss the battle for 12, 13, and 14, and if the Canadiens start with 14, 7 plus 2, who are they starting with? Who's in? Who's out? Who's on the brink? The line changes. A lot of people thought it wasn't going to work, and thus far, it hasn't. We'll talk about all of that and more with Eric Engels of Sportsnet and Sportsnet.ca. He's coming up in just a couple of minutes. You're listening and watching the Sick Podcast. I'm Marinaro.
It's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now. Got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick Podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K, 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 S-I-C-K,
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Tony Marinaro
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lanier, back to Lafleur. Oh!
The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the ball!
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est le dégagement, et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Coupe Stanley pour les Canadiens. Leur 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs! John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs! And all together, they worked a young team to the top. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup!
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. La Bittt, Tibi. Embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination. It's gonna be sick.
Marinaro, the Sick Podcast on this Monday, September 29th. It was a practice day for the Montreal Canadiens. They're going to be back at it with a preseason game tomorrow night. In the meantime, we're going to talk about some things that went on earlier today at practice. We'll talk about the game that was on Saturday night. The Montreal Canadiens went into Toronto, and they beat the Toronto Maple Leafs by a score of 4-2, returning the favor because the Toronto Maple Leafs had given it to them the game before that here in Montreal. So they said, oh, yeah, you did that to us. We didn't like it. We're going to do that to you. That's exactly what they did. Some really good performances from several Montreal Canadiens players. For some, it was enough. For some, it was not enough. We're going to discuss it. Not before we talk to you about some of our sponsors who make it possible that you watch this show absolutely for free, and we thank them. We'll start with Accent Insurance Solutions, and you know all insurance isn't created equal. You know where to find the right solution for you at Accent Insurance. Accent doesn't sell insurance. They shop insurance for you to find the right product right on the money, whatever your insurance needs, home, automobile, or business, or visit their website, www.accentassurance.com. You can call them at 514-363-3636. You see that fridge behind me? That is the Geloso Beverage Group that sent it over, and they stacked it with La Bittt Tibi, who launched their ultra lager refreshing thirst-quenching beer. Perfect for cool fall days, only 90 calories, 2 grams of carbs, 4% ABV per can, available in a pack of 6 and 12 in grocery stores all around the province of Quebec. Ultra light and ultra refreshing. I want to start the show by congratulating Juliana Cavallaro and Joey DiCaprio, who we can now say are officially engaged. Well, they were officially engaged probably about a month ago when Joey gave Juliana the ring, but they had a celebration with family and friends last night in Montreal, and I was there. I was in attendance, and congratulations to them. We very much look forward to their wedding, which is going to take place in about a year from now. And in the meantime, I got to tell you this, I have been to hundreds, maybe thousands of parties in my life, but the speech that Joe DiCaprio gave yesterday, Joey's dad, will go down as one of the greatest speeches I've ever heard in my life. And I was just so happy to be able to be there to witness it. It was emotional. It was sentimental. It was from the heart. It was beautiful. All right. Without further ado, let's bring in a guy that covers this team day in and day out, and he does it all year round. Eric Engels from Sportsnet. What's going on?
I can't believe the energy you have, like right off the bat. I am so excited right now.
I'm pumped.
First of all, Joey and Juliana, congratulations. You're getting married. Big step. The only way you're doing it right is if Tony is the one who is marrying you both.
Wow.
If you trust Tony to do this, you can see the energy with which he started this show.
Yes.
It would be a big mistake if you did not have Tony marry you.
Well, 5 years ago, if you would have asked somebody, can you see Tony doing a show in French? They probably would have said no. So if I could do that, maybe I could, I could marry them off too. Why not? All right, okay.
You're going to kill it. You're going to kill it. I can see into the future. It's going to happen.
Okay. There's a couple of guys that killed it on Saturday, notably for the Canadiens, Lane Hutson and Alex Newhook. Alex Newhook, who played 19 minutes and 6 seconds, had a goal, had an assist, went 4 for 8 in the faceoff circle. For some, they might say, yeah, but that's only 50%. But that 50% is higher than Alex Newhook's average. Let's not forget that he, has not taken a lot of faceoffs in the last year or so. Obviously, he did take his share when he was centering the third line for the Cup champion Colorado Avalanche. But with the Canadiens, it's been center, but more of wing, and then back to center during Doc's absence in the last 25 games with that knee injury, of course. I thought Newhook was very good last game. I'm gonna go even before that. I think Newhook's had an excellent camp. Excellent camp.
He's had a really good camp. He was really good last game, and maybe not for the reasons that people would necessarily point at. You said 4 for 8 in the faceoff circle, 3 for 3 in his own zone. 2 of those against John Tavares, 1 in the final seconds as Toronto's kind of having a late surge in the game. Those are big improvements. If you think about the most important places to win those draws, it's going to be in his own zone, especially as a player is going to be playing on the penalty kill this year. What I liked about Newhook's game was not the fact that he had a goal and an assist. That was the bonus. What I liked was he broke up 2 plays in his own zone right before those goals were scored. And, on one of them, he didn't even get an assist. He broke up a play. It was the Canadiens were on the power play. He came back. There was a Tavares-Nylander 2-on-1. He broke that up. Nylander would have had a great scoring chance. He turned it up the other way, took his seat on the bench. And that's when the puck went to, I can't remember who it was, and they got a power play goal. Yeah, Sean Farrell scored his first goal of the night. So, it was Riley Kidney. Riley Kidney scored on the power play.
Yeah.
So Newhook didn't even get an assist on the play, but what he did defensively was the key. And that's what I liked about his game, because that's the role that he is in right now. On Monday, the tables kind of turned with lines, which I'm sure we'll talk about at a later point in this podcast. But, it occurred to me listening to the postgame. I wasn't in Toronto. A lot of the questions were about Hutson, about the team's collective play after a bad game in Montreal. Nobody asked a question about Newhook. I thought he was the standout player in the game for Montreal for exactly what he did on the defensive side of the puck. And that's definitely a promising sign, because if he continues to do that moving forward, we're going to forget very quickly about Christian Dvorak in Montreal and the role that he played in Montreal's success last year. It was a significant one, even though people didn't like Christian Dvorak that much here. He played a very significant role in their success, driving their third line last year.
He played a big role for the Canadiens. You're right to bring it up, because a player like that, he's not overly sexy on the ice, so you tend to forget about him. But hey, listen, let me just say this to prove Dvorak's worth to the Canadiens and his value to the Canadiens last year. Coaches like to go in the final minute of every period with players that they can trust, especially if the game is tight, especially if there's one, maybe two goals separating the two teams. Christian Dvorak was on for a lot of defensive zone faceoffs in the final minute of each period. And if there wasn't a faceoff, he was on because St. Louis felt that, with Dvorak on the ice, it was a certainty, and he would be reliable, and he would be stable, and he would be solid, and they probably wouldn't get scored upon. Also, Dvorak was part of a Montreal Canadiens penalty kill that was pretty good. He played a pretty big role there. And
ninth best in the league, and best in the league for like 3 months of the season.
And Eric, this more often than not, almost all the time, the Canadiens used to start their overtimes with Dvorak, Suzuki, and Lane Hutson. And they started it because obviously to gain possession of the puck, which is so huge in 3-on-3 overtime, that if you lose possession of the puck off the opening faceoff, your three players that are on the ice, they might go their entire shift of 40 seconds, and they might be back to the bench, and they will not have touched the puck at all. And sometimes you can't even get off if the other team is in your offensive zone. So they would start with Dvorak more often than not, try and win the draw. And if he did, he would make it over to the bench as soon as possible, and Cole Caulfield would come on. So Dvorak, he had utility to the Canadiens. He really did.
Utility. Dvorak won 57% of his faceoffs last year. Dvorak was part of one of the best penalty kills in the league for most of the year. Finished 9th place because of a one cold streak that was mixed in there. From November through the playoffs, he drove the most consistent line on the Canadiens, including Nick Suzuki's line with Slavkovsky and Cole Caulfield, which really took off in the second half of the season. So when he left in the offseason for Philadelphia on a 1-year deal, I thought he'd be going somewhere like Chicago on a 4 or 5-year deal. Actually, it was really surprising that it was just 1 year. A lot of people would have been justified to say, there's a hole here. There's a hole that's been created by his departure, and we'll see if a guy like Newhook can fill it. The Canadiens have to be excited. It's just a preseason game. I understand. But what they've seen from him in this camp, as you mentioned, Tony, it's been a really good camp for him. But what they saw from him on Saturday, and his matchups were almost exclusively NHL in that game. Okay. Yeah. He was up against Nick Waugh for a lot of the game. He was up against John Tavares. He was up against why am I blanking on the other center that played in between Nyes and Nylander? It'll come to me. Calle Yarncroc. Yeah. Calle Yarncroc. Yeah. He was up against 3 NHL centers who are good at faceoffs, and he played his role very, very well in a game on the road where you don't get the matchups, and the Canadiens had a pretty underwhelming roster that they dressed for that game. He was a huge part of why they won. The win doesn't matter that much. What he did in that game shows them that, hey, not only could he potentially fill this role, but he could be an upgrade with the offense that he can bring as well. And I think Alex Newhook is in a good place mentally and confidence-wise. We talked about the face-offs.
Jacob Quillen, by the way, also took 10 draws for Toronto, as did Max Domi. So Domi took 10, Quillen took 10, Tavares took 21 face-offs, Nicolas Roy took 17, and Calle Yarncroc, that you just mentioned, only took 3 face-offs, by the way.
And Domi's been 50%, over 50% in each of the last 3 seasons, okay?
Yeah, and he was 80% on Saturday. He won 8 of 10.
Yeah, there you go. So Newhook worked on his faceoffs over the summer. It's not like he spent an hour every day working on them, okay? He had a lot of conversations with key guys. He told us today, we were talking, me, Arpen Basu, Guillaume Lefrancois, kind of digging deep on the subject with him. He worked with Patrik Laine. He had some conversations with him. And he said one of the main takeaways was that a linesman will often drop the puck closer to his own body than the further part of the dot. So just moving over an inch or two while maintaining your position in the dots is a strategic kind of upgrade on what Newhook was doing before. That was based on a conversation he had with Bergeron. They worked together in person. I'm sure they had a couple more conversations. He said the work he's done with Mark Bureau, who was hired by the Canadiens last year, has certainly been helpful. This is a guy who's coming into the season, career 41.8%. A big way to win more faceoffs in the league is be trusted to take more faceoffs in the league. That being said, it seems clear that Newhook is going to be on a line with another guy who can take faceoffs, whether it's Oliver Kapanen, whether it's Owen Beck, whether it's Joe Veleno, whoever gets that assignment, and I think it'll probably be a mix of all three throughout the season. He'll have help on the strong side, on the right side of the ice, and Veleno, well, that's a different story because he's a lefty. But look, you want to see the player improve. If he could just be a 50% player, it helps that much. But if he's if he bears down and wins the faceoffs in his defensive zone, that certainly gives Marty St. Louis another option. And it's an important option to have because with Dvorak leaving, who were the other lefties that were going to take defensive zone draws, right? There's nobody, and now Veleno's here. So
yeah,
a couple options. Marty was talking about all the options he has today. He's got a lot of different options that we're going to explore throughout this podcast.
Speaking of Veleno, the last game that he had played prior to Saturday night was a pretty good game, but the winning 5 of 13 faceoffs, so winning 5, losing 8, left a little bit of a sour taste in everyone's mouths because those are some of the little things that he has to do that they're looking for. They're looking for him to win faceoffs. They're looking for him to be defensively responsible. They're looking for him to be able to play the penalty kill. They're looking for him not to be a minus player. Those are some of the things you're looking for in players when all of a sudden they end up being part of your bottom 6. And but Veleno bounced back on Saturday night. Unfortunately for him, he was unable to get on the board. He didn't have any goals or any assists or any points to show for that.
Good game.
-1, but I thought he played a good game in his 15 minutes and 36 seconds. If there's any doubt that Joe Veleno's a National Hockey League player, I think that he showed on Saturday night that he can more than hold his own in the league. He won 9 of 13 draws. That's a huge night in the circle to go 69.2%.
But you know what he said today? And he said something that I thought was really relevant. I asked him how tight or how loose he thinks the battle is for this. There's 5 guys left battling for a couple spots, right? Maybe it's 3 spots if they carry 14 forwards, but ultimately, if you're the 14th guy, you're not playing a lot. So
let's name them: Veleno, Kapanen, Blais, Florian Xhekaj, and Owen Beck.
Right. So I asked him, how tight you think the race is. He was like, extremely tight. And it's been extremely tight. And I knew it was going to be extremely tight. And I got to tell you, it's going to be extremely tight, not only for the next 2 weeks, but probably for months. And that's just the way it is in the NHL. And he's right. Everybody's looking at this decision that's coming, Tony. They're looking at, the 5 guys left and who's going to fill the final 2 spots. Maybe it's 3, whatever. I think if you're number 14, you're that much further away from the lineup. What we've seen in this camp is a bunch of guys who can play at this level and potentially fill that role well. Not just fill it. Even a couple of guys who went down to Laval already. I think of a guy like Jared Davidson. I see NHL potential in that player.
One day.
So, you just look up and down, and when Marty talks about all the options he has, maybe Kapanen makes the roster to start, okay? And maybe he starts that first game or the second game or the third game. But if he's not bringing exactly what they want at that time, he's a phone call away from going down to Laval and somebody else replacing him. Right? Or somebody coming in from the outside of the lineup, and then he's on the outside, and you're looking at a 21-year-old kid that you don't want on the outside of the lineup, and some other kid is on his way up. Maybe it's Beck. He's going to have the same pressure to hold his spot. Right now, Kapanen has an edge in that race, right? He's been on an NHL line since the beginning of camp. He played well on Saturday night, completing that line with Bolduc and Newhook. He's getting a chance, potentially. I don't know for sure, okay? We tend to do this. Because of what we saw in practice today, we assume that's what they're going to do moving forward. There's 2 preseason games left. I don't know if it's guaranteed that what we saw in practice today is what we're going to see play in the game tomorrow in Quebec City against Ottawa. So I know you want to run through the lines so people know them. go for it, and then we can pick it up from there.
Yeah, well, before we get to the lines, I think there's something that we have to consider in terms of who's going to make the team and who's not out of camp. Is that Kapanen, Beck, and Florian Xhekaj are all waiver exempt, which means if they get sent down, they don't have to clear waivers. If Veleno and Blais get sent down or don't make the team, they are waiver eligible, so they would have to clear waivers. Speaking of which, I think the Canadiens are pretty happy that Sean Farrell had a pretty good game on Saturday night. As a matter of fact, a very good game, cleared waivers earlier today.
Yeah, listen, I think you probably agree with me, and there's still a week to go, so anything could happen, okay? But provided nothing really changes, Joe Veleno is going to be on this team, okay?
I think he definitely, I think he will be.
I think it's less likely that he starts in the 12 forwards that will start in Toronto. But if he's number 13, it won't necessarily be for long, depending on how things go here.
Well, if I sort of cut you off, my question to you would be, but should he be 13? Like, as Oliver Kapanen showed you?
Let's find out the next week, okay? So far, I don't see – I think having Kapanen, who's a right-handed guy who can play the wing and center, and also went 50% in the dot, winning 7 of 14 faceoffs on Saturday, that's a factor that's in his favor. I think physically, he's never going to be a guy who's running guys through the boards, but Marty said today he's picked it up a notch, and he has in terms of his ability to stand up to the battle that's out there. I think he's a little bit of experience woke him up as to.
Yeah, but 1 second though, why would Kapanen being a righty be something that could favor him if the Canadiens have Nick Suzuki, who's a righty, they have Jake Evans, who's a righty, and Nick Suzuki is a natural centerman, Jake Evans a natural centerman, and then left-handed they have Alex Newhook, Kirby Dach, and Joe Veleno. And Kirby Dach and Alex Newhook and Joe Veleno all historically have been under 50% in the faceoff circle. Historically have not been great in the faceoff circle. And some will say that Veleno is probably more of a pure centerman than Newhook, who can also play both. Why would you think Kapanen being a righty give him an advantage?
Because I think the most likely place for him is going to be on a line with Alex Newhook. And on that line, both of them are essentially playing center, depending on which side of the ice the puck is on. That's basically how it's been so far, and that's what I expect to see moving forward. Regardless of whatever lines get shuffled up or this or that, I see those two guys kind of as a duo. I think,
that's a good point. If Newhook and him are going to be on the same line, you're going to have a lefty and a righty instead of having two lefties.
But more to the original point is that, like, Kapanen is not locked into anything, and he might continue to hold his position between now and the end of camp, and that's where he starts the season. It does not guarantee it's where he continues through the season. There is the level of competition will continue to rise. The depth of the Canadiens is established. So if you're not doing it on any given night, or you're not bringing what that line specifically needs, you're going to be replaced quickly. And so I think it's, a lot of coaches would refer to it as a quote unquote good problem to have. It really is. Like, last year we talked about the Canadiens being deeper, but that didn't mean that they had depth. This year they have a level of depth that they haven't had at any point since this rebuild began. And it's been the most revelatory thing in this camp, is that you have a bunch of guys, not one or two or three, like a bunch of guys who have proven they can play games in the NHL right now. The waiver thing, look, you saw Sean Farrell go down. If there was concern that he would get claimed, he's mixed into a huge waiver wire list from teams across the league and gets through. I think, if a guy like Sammy Blais has to go down and they have to expose him to waivers, I don't think the Canadiens will be overly concerned about potentially losing him, that they're going to just ship all their kids that are exempt over shipping him on waivers. And if they lose him, like I just said, they've got a bunch of guys who can play in the NHL this year. So yeah, that's part of the game, I guess. It's not. I don't think anybody wants to lose a player for free.
No,
but I I think we're in a different phase of this whole thing where the most relevant thing to the Canadiens is putting together the best 23-man roster every single night of the season. And if that means potentially losing somebody on waivers because they're not part of that 23 guys, that's what it is.
Sick Podcast brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, a leading asset-light 3PL that's driven to be different from cross-border freight between Canada, USA, and Mexico to coast-to-coast shipping in both Canada and the United States. Energy moves it all. They're fast, reliable, and powered by tech that delivers smarter logistics. If you need a real partner in transportation, contact the team at sick at shipenergy.com and see how Energy Transportation Group is changing the freight game. Also, a shout-out to another one of our partners who's Playground. If you haven't really played poker until you played at Playground, they were voted Fan Choice Best Poker Room at the 2025 Global Poker Awards. Enjoy free drinks at every table, free food at all cash games and daily tournaments, plus the biggest events in the game like the World Poker Tour and the World Series of Poker Circuit. And don't miss your shot at the world record Bad Beat Jackpot, now closing in. It's over $1 million, as a matter of fact. Just missed from downtown Montreal across the Mercier Bridge. This is Playground. And we thank them very much for that. All right, okay. I want to talk to you about Laine Hutson because I think we're probably about, 25, 26 minutes into this conversation. We haven't brought up his name yet. Scored a goal on Saturday night. He had 5 shots on goal. He logged over 20 minutes of ice time. He just picked up where he left off. He looked like Laine Hutson. A lot of people were on social media saying, oh my God, this guy's taking an extra step. Oh my God, this guy's unbelievable. Oh my God, this, that. I wasn't surprised by anything I saw from Laine Hutson. I've been saying for a while, I'm his vice president of his fan club, his president being his family, I guess. Phenom, superstar. I think he's amazing. And, I find it mind-boggling that he's still kind of like proving some people wrong. Oh my God, like he really is good. Like you don't do what he did by fluke last year. Obviously he's good. And Eric, I don't know if you agree or not, but I think he's going to make some people at USA Hockey look pretty bad. I really believe that.
Well, make them look bad. I mean, maybe he'll play his way onto the team.
Well, both can happen.
Just because you didn't make an orientation. I mean, I remember going back several Olympics where Jerome McGinley was called like last second to join one of those camps and all of a sudden ended up being on the first line of the team. Like he wasn't originally invited. This stuff happens. Like it's motivating. I don't think Laine needs any more motivation than what's in front of him. He's a fantastic player. There's no debating it. He can still bring his game to another level because it's early in his career and we've already seen something special happen with him.
Of course.
You look at the depth of the Canadiens' blue line and what they look like and where he's slotted on it, it's a great opportunity for him to be even more secure in his own shoes and his own skates, right? Like playing with Caden Goalie, who's as solid as he is, with Noah Dobson and Mike Matheson above them. I mean, it's just a great spot for him to be in to do what he does. One thing I noticed, 2 games in, he averaged 4 shot attempts a game last year. In the first game, he had 8 shot attempts in the game, and last game, like you mentioned, he had 5 shots on net. So
he's going to shoot a lot more often for 2 reasons, I think. Number one, everyone saw that he loves to pass first, so they're going to try and stop that, so it'll open up some lanes for him. Number 2, he worked a lot on his shot this offseason, so I think you're going to see a lot more.
And he should have, right? Like it was what he had to work on. So of course he would have worked on it. I'm sure he worked on a lot of other things, but I'm sure it was an area of focus for him.
How hard do you think he shoots the puck?
What's that?
How hard do you think he shoots the puck on the radar?
Hard enough. And I thought he shot it hard enough last year, but it's a question of constantly being hard, accurate, getting it through. Getting it through is the most important thing from the blue line.
Below or under 90 miles an hour?
I think he can get it above.
I could tell you that this summer he got it above 90 miles an hour.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll see it in a game. Most important is that he gets it through. When you have NHL traffic from both teams in front of the net, the guys who have success getting the puck through end up with a lot of goals and points. Yeah. I look at Zach Werenski and Cale Makar. They're the 2 best in the world at getting shots through. And whatever he can borrow from those 2 guys, and he clearly has the ability to borrow anything from any player, like with his talent, it's going to be huge. One thing that's very clear about Laine Hutson is he is going to shoot more this year. He's
see the way he pump faked
through this preseason.
The way he pump faked on the shot on the goal. Like there's so many players
Yeah.
that would have shot that puck right away, and they
Maybe don't give him that much space. Like I know you want to
gone off shin pads.
I know you want to cover everybody else and make sure that he doesn't get an easy pass for an easy goal, but like if you give him that much space, he's gonna really make you pay. He did.
You've loved Arber's camp thus far.
Love it. Been so good.
But you know what? We haven't really talked much about Jaden Struble.
Mm-hmm.
Your thoughts on him?
Now, you could do worse than having him as a number 7.
Yeah.
Like, you suffer an injury, like Caden Goalie went down with a groin injury day to day, and boom, he steps into a pair with Lane Hutson, and Lane Hutson will make a lot of players look good, but Struble looked all right. Like he looked like an NHL defenseman, just like he has over the last couple of years, mainly for a good stretch as of last year. So he'll have to wait. He's got to be patient and aggressive at the same time. Like Marty likes to say, aggressive patience. Keep yourself sharp, because you never know when that bell's going to ring and you got to fight. And I think, his puck touches are something I'd like to see get more consistent, as you would like to see with all young players. In fact, Marty even talked about that with Caden Goalie today. But you just like to have that guy as your number 7 behind 6 that are going to make up 3 really good pairs. That's a luxury,
He had 3 hits on Saturday night. Goalie did in 19 minutes and 56 seconds. Xhekaj had 2.
Sorry, you mean Struble did?
Struble did. Pardon me. Struble had 3 hits. Xhekaj had 2.
Yeah.
Struble didn't have any giveaways. Xhekaj had 1. I thought Xhekaj had a block shot. Struble did not. I thought they both played well. And I don't think anyone. I thought they both played well on Saturday night once again. And Struble played 19:56. Xhekaj played 21:33. They both played the same amount of time, pretty much, on the penalty kill, where Xhekaj played 2:35 and Struble played 36. They were both good, but you're right. I've seen a new and improved Arber Xhekaj since the start of Pro Camp. I really like what I'm seeing.
We shouldn't neglect how big of a factor it is that he's going to be paired with Alex Carrier. Like, David Savard did a great job shepherding these young defensemen, especially Arber Xhekaj. The conversations they had, the influence he had. But was he the ideal partner for Arber Xhekaj at times where Arber Xhekaj was searching for his confidence and trying, the Canadian system is so focused on stopping plays before they get to the defensive zone, where, naturally Arber Xhekaj still had a lot to learn. With Alex Carrier, a lot more plays are going to die before they get to the defensive zone. It's the speed level that he brings to the game and the aggressiveness of his game helps Xhekaj stand up the line and do what he needs to do too on his side. Canadians are so focused on their connected neutral zone play through this camp. It's going to be a factor that they look to start out of the blocks, really being successful in that element of the game.
Yeah.
Marty talks about it, kill plays up the ice, kill plays. If you can't kill them up the ice in the neutral zone, kill plays at your own blue line if you can, if it's gotten that far. So you have to defend less in your own zone. Well, when you have a guy like Alex Carrier next to you as a defenseman, you know that a lot more of those plays are going to get killed. Savard, because of the speed issue last year, had to back off the line quite a bit. And so that wasn't the best thing for Arber last year. Savard was great for Arber in a lot of different ways. But this is a stabilizing factor for a defenseman who's found some confidence over the summer in terms of the work that he put in and the preparation he's done for this season. Just getting back to Struble, he's had the experience of coming from the outside in. I think Arber is going to get a good runway here. Like, he's earned it with the way he's played, and they had him slotted there. Again, nothing is permanent. You got to fight for your job in this league every single day, and that's especially true on teams that have depth. The Canadiens finally have it.
Shane Gaumont and Master Control, if you can, bring up the lines today at practice. All right, Suzuki centering Slafkovsky and Caulfield, which has been together for the last couple of seasons. That's not changing. Evans in between Anderson and Gallagher. Dvorak was in that spot last year. Evans lost his 2 line mates in Armia and Heineman. Makes sense, and that's not changing either. Here's where it is changing. Doc is with Laine, but Demidov's no longer on that line. Bolduc's on that line. Mm-hmm. And Kapanen is centering Newhook and Demidov. Take a look at what is the 5th line. That would be Veleno with Beck, Xhekaj, Blais. So there you have it, Eric Engels. There were a lot of people who had doubts as to whether or not Dach, Laine, and Demidov could be a line that has success. The regular season didn't start yet. It will for the Canadiens next week on Wednesday when they'll visit the Leafs in Toronto. But your thoughts on the coach splitting them up?
So here's the thing that everybody should keep in mind, okay? They have 2 preseason games left, but they have a bunch of practices. And so every practice takes on heightened importance, okay? So what you saw today in terms of those lines is not necessarily what you'll see tomorrow. I know everybody wants to think it is because that's what they saw. Let's assume it is, though, okay? Bolduc, Newhook, and Kapanen played a really good game in Toronto on Saturday, to the point where if Marty St. Louis was looking for information on that line, what he's learned is that they can function together. So he already knows that. That's a card that's in his pocket. So now he wants to test something else. And maybe he just wanted to test it for this practice. Maybe he just wanted to see what it would look like. I don't know. We'll find out.
He needs to put a player on that line that's going to go in, going to be the F1, going to dig, going to forecheck, going to cause turnovers, going to try and gain possession of the puck to give it to his line, because thus far with Demidov there, it was a line that didn't have the puck a lot. Yeah. And they were chasing, and they were defensively. I mean, they had a game, they were a combined -9. Obviously, it's preseason. Yeah. I mean, let's chill. It doesn't matter. Nobody's hurt. But look, there's some doubts as to whether or not it can work, because, you know, you get the feeling that Dach, Demidov, and Laine can work, but it can work on a night when they're most likely playing at home. It can work on a night where maybe the game is a lot more wide open. It's an offensive game. They're probably trading chances. But if the game is a game on the road, if the game is a tighter game, if the game's a more physical game, if the game is a 1-goal game, if the game's a very defensive game, you get the feeling they're going to struggle, Eric. At least I do.
I think it could work if Patrik Laine does what he's supposed to do, period. And I don't care if Bolduc's there or Demidov.
When was the last time Patrik Laine did what he was exactly supposed to do and played to his full potential and did it with consistency?
Listen, you know, he got a lot of credit for his summer, okay? And I don't want to take any away from him, okay? Like, you look at his last year, everything he went through. He went to work this summer. He was on the ice a lot. He was in the gym a lot. He had an NHL summer. It's what an NHL player should do, especially one who's making $9.1 million in actual salary. You should be on the ice a lot, and you should be working out. That's what every NHL player does that takes their career seriously. He clearly is taking his career seriously. This is an opportunity for him in a contract year. He did what he was supposed to do. I think the throwing flowers at him for doing it and, you know, suggesting this is going to be his best year and this and that, go prove it. You know, like Marty said, we might see the best version of him. He doubled down and said, we will see the best version of him. Marty said, for everybody in this camp, it's got to start now and not on October 8th. So far, he's behind. And when you look at that game and the way he played it the other day, I don't think it's crazy to say that if he plays like that moving forward, where he's careless with the puck, where he's not moving his feet in opportunities where he can attack space and get open and get shots, where he doesn't move the puck fast enough and lets people come to him, and then all of a sudden he's cornered. If he plays like that, he probably shouldn't play. Like, that's just where this team is at right now. And I think it's early. There is still an opportunity for him to reverse this in practice, in games. And if he does his job and plays the way the game demands him to play, which is quick puck movement, get open for your line mates who are good playmakers, and finish the plays with your shot and do the one thing that you do that is really exceptional, that you have to give Patrik Laine credit for. It's the hardest job in the world to score goals, and he knows how to score them. But at 5-on-5, if he can't be a factor that's much more than what we saw the other night that he played, there isn't a place for him to play. If he can't make it work from a second line, whether it's with Demidov or whether it's with Bolduc,
I think that's a legitimate concern. I think it's a legitimate concern.
If he can't do it, then he can't play. There is no other place for him on this team. He's not going to be on a third checking line. He's not going to be on a fourth line.
I don't think so
and
either.
The power play has enough options that, as much as they'd love him there and he can be a major contributor there, if he can't play at 5-on-5, there isn't space for him to play.
I think he can, but I don't think he can do it with consistency.
Listen,
not the consistency that Marty St. Louis is looking for, night in, night out.
I think that he has to be taking this very seriously right now. And I think
that's a contract year for him, and he
you
talked
could
about how
look at
much
it.
his wife loves it here.
You could look at it as a massive challenge for him. I see it as a huge opportunity. It is a huge opportunity for him to resurrect his career the way he wants to have it. He said, we will see the best version of him. Show it. Go right now and show it. He said when he came here a year ago, he doesn't want to just be a 30-goal scorer. He wants to be a 40 to 50-goal scorer. Show it. Do the things that enable you to score those goals. And that means playing smart and not complicating the game. He overly complicates the game at times. He doesn't need to do it. I think I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt on that preseason game that we saw against Toronto where they got shellacked and say, he said he was one of the people that was asleep. It's time to wake up yesterday, like right now. And I think the message is being sent to him. And I think he better take that message and run with it and prove to everybody that he can be an impactful player. Because if he cannot be that player, if he cannot do the simple things that the game requires, it's going to be hard for him to play.
Let's put the lines back up on the screen if we can. For those who are watching on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, you'll see it. So Doc Laine with Bolduc, Kapanen with Newhook, and Demidov. Let's talk about this line now. Mm-hmm. Can these two players be good for Demidov? Because I think they can be on a game of running gun, on a game that's an offensive hockey game, on a game that's on skating, on a game that's on skill. But take this line and put it on the road versus a team that's pretty physical. What do you see happening?
I'm not worried about it. I think Kapanen and Newhook are responsible players. I think Demidov is a very smart player. I think when I see that switch, what I see is one line becoming a second line and the other one becoming the third line. Like, I see Newhook going from what's largely a defensive role that he was in to start camp to, we're going to take a look at this because this might be the line we depend on to produce the type of offense we need beneath Suzuki, Caulfield, and Slavkovsky. You talked about, well, maybe Marty wants to get a look at Bolduc being the puck chaser and the F1 on that line with Doc and Laine and creating space for them. But I think this is just as much about, if not more about, seeing how this line could be composed as an offensive line for the Canadiens. Newhook, Demidov, and Kapanen. Again, I don't know if they're really moving forward with this. I think it's something that they tried in practice today. We'll find out tomorrow when they run lines before going to Quebec. But, you know, Marty's got two lines that we know are going to start this season together, right? Mm-hmm. Unless something disastrous happens over these next two games and he's got to mix everything up.
Yeah.
His line is staying intact. Evans's line is staying intact. There's a competition here for hierarchy in the lineup between those six guys in the middle. And I think Demidov is probably going to be on the line that is used the second most. So we'll see who the other guys are that are with him.
What do you think of Demidov's camp thus far?
It's a bit of a mixed bag in terms of how young he is, and like, I don't want to say it was all on Laine the way it went for that line in the Toronto game where they got shellacked. Like, yeah. Demidov was responsible for 2 goals against. He was just in the wrong spot. But
yeah, I'm seeing flashes, Eric. I'm not seeing the game to come together yet.
Well, I think he's been frustrated by, you know, how little the puck is coming to him. And that's a lesson for him to learn also, is that, like, sometimes you're going to have games like that. The puck's not going to come to you as much as you want it. You can't get frustrated. You still got to do the other things in the game. You can't just hope that it's going to come. And sometimes you just got to go get it yourself. I think it's normal. He's 19 years old. A lot of people would just willingly give him a pass. On 2 goals, there's something to learn. 2 goals against where, A, he didn't spread out on the flank as the right wing to go cover the point on a shot that came in through the point and went in. B, he got behind his man instead of in front of him on a play in front of the net that ended up being another goal. Those are 2 learning moments for him. I'm not worried about him at all. Just, you know, when the puck finally does come to him, what he does with it is unbelievable. And sure enough, in that game, he did something unbelievable and set up a goal for Laine. I'm not worried about Ivan Demidov, like, not even a little.
What have you seen from Thorpe during camp, from, role players? Luke Tuck was sent down. What did you think of his camp?
Thorpe's a project. Luke Tuck, there's not a lot of offensive upside there, but there's a great deal of detail in his game. He's a solid forechecker, a physical player, a guy who doesn't take shortcuts on the ice.
Character guy, leader.
He knows exactly what his role is supposed to be. I think there's only room for him to improve. He's a young guy. He's got the character. He is a leader. You're right. Davidson's another guy. Like, I just look at him straight up and down. Gained some weight. He's got to get used to playing at that weight, I think. Speed-wise, there's a bit of pace that I'd like to see him incorporate that would probably push him over the edge. He's got the edge in his game. He's got the physicality. I thought there was some really nice moments for Philip Meshar. I thought there were some really nice moments for Sean Farrell, who proved that if a couple of offensive guys go down, he could be an option. Like, he's built up the floor of his game to the level that you could trust him on the ice. Even if he's put in an offensive role, you could trust him defensively too. He doesn't cheat the game at all. So, and I think if he was in another organization, he'd be playing in the NHL. Like, there's less deep organizations that would have space for a player even at his size. We've always known his hockey sense is excellent. His skill level is very high, but he has really rounded out the floor of his game. All those guys like Thorpe, he's gone from like, who is this guy, to he's made himself noticed. He's made himself noticed all over the ice in every circumstance. And as he gains professional experience and continues on that project, he could become a player at this level at one day. Like, it's going to take time, but it's a heck of a camp. It's a very revealing camp in terms of just how far down the list you can go and look at a guy and say, you know what? They may not have a long NHL career, but they're going to play some games. Like, I see a bunch of them.
Did you?
We didn't talk about Engstrom, who's still here, by the way.
You know what? And no, it's an opportunity for another podcast. But very quickly on Kapanen, did you all think that he had a chance to make the team going in?
100%. When you look at his run, his professional experience, if Jakub Dobeš came here feeling as though anything was kind of to take for granted, that would have been a big opening for Kapanen. Luckily for Dobeš, he's risen to the occasion. He's played very well so far. He's been good in camp. He's been good in the practices. He's been good in the limited preseason action that he's seen. He is another guy that can go through without having to clear waivers. And so there was certainly threat for him with Kapanen invited to this training camp and signed to a contract. He's a guy that if you suffer an injury at that position, can play in the NHL. Like, that's pretty important to have. He's also a guy that, without putting up a fight, will go to the AHL and be an excellent support system for Jacob Fowler and really bring him along into the professional world. So, it's a good signing. It's a good signing, and he's been good in camp too.
You know what? It's a good signing, and look, I think that the sample size on Dobeš in the National Hockey, I like Dobeš, but I think the sample size is small, so it's obviously a very, very good insurance policy. And once again, if Dobeš was going to be here and then all of a sudden you have Fowler down on the farm, you need someone to be able to show him the way and mentor him, right? And I think Kapanen could be that guy. Eric, it's been a lot of fun. You brought up a name that's interesting that we haven't talked about yet. It's Adam Engstrom. And you know what? This guy here is going to play in the National Hockey League, and he's going to play for the Montreal Canadiens one day, I think. The big question is when, but it'll give us another opportunity to talk at a later date, probably sometime in the next couple of days or maybe even next week on Monday. We'll do that. Thank you for your time, Eric. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Take care, Tony.
All right, there you have it. Are the Montreal Canadiens going to make the playoffs? Are the Ottawa Senators going to make the playoffs? Who's going to pick up more points between the Canadiens and the Senators? The two teams will square off tomorrow night in preseason action. But you can go all the way with Betway and get a free bet up to $200. Your first bet loses. Scan the QR code on the screen or click on the link in the details section to create an account. Redeem your welcome offer. Offer is only available for new customers. Terms and conditions apply. Offers not available in Ontario. Must be 18 years of age and older. And please play responsibly. Thanks for watching, everyone, on this Monday, September 29, on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Twitter. And, of course, you can listen to us on all social media platforms. Leave us a 5-star review if you enjoyed the podcast. And it's a reminder that 1 week from today at 10 a.m. on Monday, October the 6th, we're going to go en français, in French, at 10 a.m. The Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro. And, of course, we'll continue in English at 10 p.m. The Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro. We rented a studio. It's in Ville Saint Laurent. It's absolutely beautiful. We've been renovating it like you can't believe. And We're still renovating it, but we've got assurances that it will be ready by Monday. So it should actually be ready by probably Thursday or so. But it's getting it tight, but we'll get it done. We'll be there. Thanks for watching. Tell your friends about it and follow us. You'll get to watch the English and the French podcast. It's all going to be on the same on the same channel on YouTube, which is the Sick Podcast channel, the French show and the English show. Thanks for watching. Special thanks to Shane Gaumont on Master Control. Back tomorrow night, same time, same place. I'm Marinaro.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, driven to be different. La Vida TB, embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination.